What I'm about to tell you has the potential to blow every self-help book you've ever read completely out of the water. I didn't know how much I didn't know until the day I watched my husband say goodbye as I was wheeled into the operating room to die. I'm Kim Snyder, and this is Faith Unfiltered. I've spent most of my life as a Bible-believing Christian, but I'd like to introduce you to the journey that changed literally everything in the way that I live. What I'd like to do is help you learn what I desperately wish now that I had known then, and save you the trouble of going through any of what it took me to learn it all. So whether you're just mildly interested in God stuff, or you've been sold out for your whole life, this show isn't about pretty platitudes and helpful to-do lists. This is real life. I thought I was living a good Christian life. I decided to follow Jesus at 15, and he put me in Christian radio the same year. And by the time I was an adult, I was doing the things I'd gotten good at a national level. For my whole life, I've been involved in serving in tons of different kinds of churches and ministries, but none of that stopped life from happening to me. I started singing in a family trio when I was just 4. But in between all those church conference performances and all of those revivals, I and my sisters were getting abused by our father. I walked into an abusive marriage by 19, and by 23, I was a single mom just trying to keep my kids from their own predatory father. I know that pit that sits in your gut when you're trying to make sense of how to trust God. At the same time, you're just trying to figure out how to survive life. But God was good, even when I didn't see it, and I know now how little I probably ever did see it. He brought me an incredibly loving husband and blessed us with 2 more kids. I served in more ministries and more churches, and I worked in national Christian media, but I still didn't know just how much I didn't know until the day I watched my husband say goodbye as I was wheeled into the operating room to die. Life is a carousel. It spins in a nonstop cycle of business, deadlines, needs, desires, relationships. And if we can focus long enough, sometimes we might even catch a view of our hopes and our dreams. But it's noisy, and it can be disorienting, and it never stops. Few people have ever really been thrown completely off the carousel and actually lived to tell the story. I have, and it's a really good one. The day my husband said goodbye, I had already begun to enter brain death. All of my organs had shut down after being left in the corner of an ER for the weekend in full septic shock. My chances of surviving to see my husband say goodbye were only 4%. My chances of ever leaving the hospital at all were barely above that. And the chances I would be dead within the first 3 years, most likely year 1, were over 70%. When I did leave, I spent over a decade living more on the edge of death than ever alive. I lived in excruciating pain. The only people I ever saw were doctors and surgeons. And the doctors completely destroyed my voice. Twice. Through that experience, I got to see a slice of life I never imagined was real, even in my nightmares. Because when you can't speak and you're physically at the mercy of other people, there is a deep evil that creeps out of even the best of us, just waiting to mistreat and abuse you. My story includes 15 years barely living in that gutter outside the view of the carousel of life. And because of it, I know what desperation feels like. I know how brutal isolation can be. I know what it is to have no words for God that don't include begging for death. I've known suffering so severe that I'm still stunned the human body can even survive it. And I know what it feels like to be completely abandoned by friends and family. And you know what else I learned? I learned that there was no life advice, no Christian group, nothing out there that had any solutions for any of it. That's why I created this podcast. Because now I do have solutions for all of that. And if what I can share with you can help you survive that, I promise it's going to make everything else in your life exceptionally better too. So I will spill everything I've learned about why evil exists in our world and who God even is in the middle of it. And boy, have I learned that. Because that day, the day my husband said goodbye, wasn't the only time I nearly died. In all, there were 7. And through them, I got a glimpse of what lies ahead. And I mean that kind of peak that I'm not even sure we're supposed to get. But it left me so changed that I barely feel fit for Earth anymore. I can't wait to share with you what I've had the opportunity to learn the hard way so that hopefully you will never have to. And through this podcast, I'm looking forward to getting to know you better too. And while I don't yet, if you're at all like me, there are a few things about you and the me from before that we probably have in common. Like, I'm betting you have no clue how deeply you are loved by your Creator. You have no idea how incredible the purpose really is that He's designed just for you. You probably haven't been able to stop long enough to see the awe-inspiring plan that is unfolding all around you. But I have, and I'm going to do my best to help you see it for yourself. You were put here, in this place, at this exact time in history for a reason. So specific, so well thought out, and so perfectly designed that it literally took the master of the universe to lay it all out. And His plan for you was never meant to be a secret, because your life, this day, this moment, is a gift, a custom-built opportunity designed by a God who knows you better than you will ever know yourself. Every moment He's given you is the gift of choice, and every one you make has already been shaping your eternity. Oh, and that's the other thing. Eternity? It's way closer than you think. And for those who choose to follow the God of the Bible, it is more inexplicably wonderful than you can even begin to imagine. So here's the deal. In this podcast, we're going to tackle the things you want to know most about, and nothing is off limits, okay? So if you have a question, I will find the answer from the only source that has the ability to alter not just our attitude, not just our actions, but our very eternity. And we'll walk through together how to make that happen, one simple choice at a time. So what do you want to talk about? Let me know by interacting in whatever way is easiest for you. Look at all the links, pick the one you like best, and let's start the conversation. So what do you think? Are you in? Then here's to unleashing your real life with Faith Unfiltered.